Hello, thank you very much for being
Olá,
here.
muito obrigada pela presença de todos e boa noite a todo mundo que está assistindo. Eu sou a Ana e sou uma das sócias da XP. Eu sou responsável, hoje em dia, por criar conteúdo para ajudar o povo brasileiro a investir o dinheiro de uma forma melhor. Eu estou muito feliz por estar aqui hoje à noite conversando com o Tal. Ele vai se apresentar mais tarde. Mas antes disso, eu só quero falar que é muito importante que nós sempre tragamos conteúdo para vocês. Informações de investimentos e tudo o que vocês precisam saber para ser o melhor investidor no futuro. E eu tenho que agradecer a Nasdaq por ser parte desse projeto. Tivemos a CEO deles conosco, ela foi incrível e agora eu tenho o privilégio de conversar com o Tal. Muito obrigada, Tal, por estar comigo hoje esta noite. Obrigado, Ana, e obrigado a XP quando você acorda. Qual que é a sua rotina? Claro, sem dúvida. Eu estou na Nasdaq há 4 anos. E quando eu comecei a trabalhar lá, eu trabalhava na parte de ações. Hoje em dia, a minha responsabilidade não são só as ações, mas todas as franquias de transação da América do Norte. Isso inclui
fixed income, our ETF business, and I also have
receita, ETF, e eu também sou responsável pela área de ativos digitais. Foram 4 anos interessantes, foram incríveis. Antes disso, na verdade, eu fazia parte de uma empresa que competia. E nós lançamos isso no Canadá e também na Austrália. Tínhamos também um trabalho no Japão e nós trabalhamos, inclusive, com esse tipo de troca com o Brasil. Então, eu tenho um relacionamento com o Brasil desde mais ou menos 2014. Poxa, que legal! E você já veio aqui algumas vezes, não veio? Sim, eu tive a sorte de poder visitar o país de vocês. Mais do que algumas vezes. E o Rio também, mais do que algumas vezes. E é lindo. Eu mal posso esperar para voltar quando as coisas voltarem ao normal. Sim, eu também. Mas vamos falar um pouquinho da Nasdaq. Você estava no nosso IPO, no nosso IPO? Eu assisti. Eu não estava lá, mas eu assisti. Foi um evento incrível. Eu preciso falar o que a XP conseguiu fazer com todo aquele entusiasmo. Foi incrível. Eu senti que eu estava assistindo um jogo da Copa do Mundo. Foi inacreditável. Nós sempre queremos ter a XP e outras empresas brasileiras comemorando dessa forma conosco. Sim, foi uma grande festa. Foi de manhã e tinha tanta coisa e tanta gente. Foi um momento muito especial. Eu só queria saber se você estava lá. Talvez eu tivesse perdido a chance de te conhecer pessoalmente. Ah, fica para a próxima. Bom, continuando a nossa conversa, eu tenho algumas perguntas para você. Agora que você já falou um pouquinho.
Institutions. We were just talking before we started going live about the developing process of the Brazilian economy. We are still very young on that process. We don't even have 3 million people investing their money here, and we have 210 million people. It's so complicated to say all these words in English numbers, so many numbers. But yeah, we are very big and we don't have a lot of people investing. So what I want to know from you is that Nasdaq labels itself disruptor, right? You have lots of tech companies listed and you definitely have this role. But how does it help the Brazilian investment community today? Because if I think about the Brazilian companies that got IPO'd on Nasdaq, I can immediately think about XP, of course, and Stone, which is also finance, and Arco, which is educational.
That's right.
And what else? It's
we
4.
Have 4 in total. And the one, and so the first 3 you named, I knew. There's a 4th one, but the name eludes me right now as well. And I think there's 38 Brazilian companies in total in the U.S. markets between us and the other exchanges. So quite a few, actually.
Yeah,
and
you're right. But I also don't remember that. But can you tell me a little bit, how do you help the Brazilian community to develop itself being a disruptive stock exchange, please?
Yeah, so Nasdaq itself, we're about 49 years old. We were formed in 1971. as a disruptor. We embraced electronic trading before it was popular. And over the course of the 49 years, we built an incredible franchise where we now list some of the most incredible companies in the world, and a trading franchise where we have the largest single exchange in the world in the Nasdaq flagship market. And when we think about Brazil and what Brazil can be and will be in its future, Nasdaq very much can be a part of that future, where we as a market infrastructure player, we power over 100 exchanges across the globe with technology solutions. And we partner with broker dealers and buy side and retail investors to provide them, and retail brokers to provide them with technology. And that ranges from alternative trading systems that we can build. It ranges from risk management solutions and surveillance solutions. So by providing that technology to exchanges and to broker dealers, we in fact help end investors access markets more efficiently. So we bring down the cost of investing, we bring down the cost of access, we democratize markets by providing that technology in a growing market like Brazil. So today we're talking about 3 million, maybe in 5 years from now, we're talking about 6 million or 7 million. And we'd be excited to be part of that journey with you.
Yeah, I really hope we double that number as well, because we have lots of investment products for them. And of course, we're also developing the products. So we have a very nice path to grow together. I'm watching all the comments we're having here right now. We have lots of people watching us right now, and people really want to see us talking in English. So they're asking if they can have the non-translational simultaneously thing while we were talking. I'll get that. I'll give that to the structured people here to help us. But as long as I'm here hosting you, what I can help them is just to ask if they're liking our conversation. They can always leave the like here on the YouTube video, and of course, subscribe themselves on the XP channel. Let's keep talking, Tal. You said something really important about this democratization of investments, and I really agree with that. You made me think about something that just came through my mind. You have some of the most valuable companies on your stock exchange. And I'm talking about funds. You're probably comfortable with that acronym. You're aware of that. Mm-hmm. And how do you see that from now on? Because we live in a pandemic scenario, of course, and we already focus on lots of these technology companies that's really outstanding right now. But what about all the other companies? What about all the other ones that are staying behind? Do they have to reinvent themselves too?
This is a great question. So our ethos, as we talked about, as a disruptor, probably marries very well with the new economy companies you mentioned before. So the companies that embrace technology, that are on the cutting edge, that are thinking about a better tomorrow for our economies, our investors, we try to partner with those companies. So we are, from a healthcare perspective, a fintech perspective, a leader. And we have some great brands that we associate with. And we also have the Nasdaq 100, where emerging markets and economies will want to have their companies listed on Nasdaq to be part of that index. So you can think about that as an attractive draw for foreign companies or emerging market companies to be part of Nasdaq. But clearly, we don't leave anybody behind. We want to be a partner to every company, and we want to show them a path forward and help them with the path forward. So when you list on Nasdaq, obviously, you're part of a bigger club with the brands you mentioned, but the partnership that we form with these listed companies, in which we help them be better listed companies, in which we help them engage with their investors, so they maximize that relationship not only with the investing public, but for their own employees. And so we take that very seriously. We have 2,700 or so corporate listings, 3,100 listings overall with ETPs. And I think we're the leader in the US in terms of number of listings. So we love every company to come to NASDAQ. We'd love to be the face for every company and the partner for every company in the world, to be honest.
Yeah, really amazing, really amazing. And as long as we have to talk about the evolution of the capital markets, I have another question for you. What is the attraction for the emerging markets companies to come to the US equity markets? nowadays, because I think PagSeguro was the fourth company.
There you go.
Right?
Yeah.
We still have lots to go. We still have a lot to grow.
You've done good homework. It is very impressive. And so, once again, for emerging companies, I talked a little bit about the Nasdaq 100 and how it benefits not only the companies, but the investors in those companies and being associated with the Nasdaq 100. And let me give you an interesting stat. The Nasdaq 100 is up just about 22, 23% this year, while the S&P is about flat. So it shows you with this crisis that we have, which is unfortunate, the silver lining is there are some companies that are well positioned and are leading us forward in this time of crisis. So we think about that as part of our brand, as part of the responsibility that we bear. And we want to be good corporate citizens as well. So we want to create transparent, liquid markets where investors feel protected, where companies can access those customers and investors in the way they see fit. And the US markets are amongst the most liquid, most vibrant, most transparent in the world. But as I noted earlier in my discussion, we want the same for Brazil. We want to make sure that we're working with XP and our partners to make sure that the Brazilian economy, the Brazilian markets are as vibrant as ever as well. So we care about not just the US markets, but all markets.
Yeah, perfect. While you were talking, I was just checking all the people watching us. They're really helping. They're really liking it. They have lots of questions for you. I'll try to put them together with the questions that I already have for you. So you said also very important things right now, because this emerging market thing, it's really important that we keep the companies with other companies that are really transparent. And I can only agree with you about that, because it's part of an important thing to be aligned and to really know what's behind everything. So you're right. You're definitely right. Look, there is a question a little bit combined to that. That is, what do you say about the US markets and their accessibility and fairness? Just to extend a little bit about this topic, please.
Sure. So the US markets, as I noted before, are vibrant, transparent, allow both institutional investors and retail investors to have a good experience. And in many ways, the retail investors never had it better. And I think your viewers should know that the US markets, we care about retail investors, we care about their experience in our markets. We care about what they invest in, protecting them, making sure it's suitable, and making sure that the experience of trading and investing is a positive one. And of course, for institutional investors, we have these great companies that you mentioned before that allow for great investment opportunities. And so the US, in many ways, offers investors the most attractive set of investments, not only because of the companies, but because of the rules and structure around it. And I'll also note that ETPs or ETFs are about 20% of our market, so exchange traded funds, which allow institutional and retail investors to express their sentiment around themes in our market in a low cost, transparent, liquid product. So if you as an investor want to invest in biotechnology, but you don't know what company to invest in, there's an ETF. If you want to invest in financials, and you just don't know what company you want to buy, there's the opportunity to buy the ETF, which covers the sector, which allows you on a very cost-efficient basis to place that trade, to place that investment. And that is what really makes the US fairly unique in the product offering that we have.
Yeah, definitely. The only problem is that we don't have a very developing ETF market yet. So we have to be importing the ETFs. And we have a regulation here in Brazil that when we have this full investments that's compromised with international investments, more related to old investments type, because it was restricted to some kind of investors. But now we are really democratizing it. So we're really making it popular. So people can buy ETFs for a very low amount of money. and they can have exposure of the US into the US market. So it's really, really important that they diversify their wallets. Here in XP, we are still in the 5th day. There's still tomorrow to go, but we had Ray Dalio talking here. We had Howard Marks. We had Leda Braga from Systematica Investments. And all of them talked about the importance of diversifying investments. And we are so home biased. And I also believe we are very home biased because we are still very young in the process of investing. And Brazilian people are still scared. They don't know the real opportunities. So it's really important that you from Nasdaq really help us do that here. So thank you very much for that answer.
Yeah, and just to comment on that, because we also see as part of our role to help these economies in these markets. So we have an index business, and our index business is working with the Brazilian market to launch ETFs so that investors can find these products in their home markets. And whether they're the ETF types of products that I discussed or different types of ETF products based on what retail and institutional investors are looking for, Nasdaq has the ability through our index business to work with you. And what's really interesting about Brazil is now that interest rates are much lower than they used to be, I hope that it evolves the investing culture in Brazil away from maybe fixed income, which is still very important, but gives you a sense of why equities is important, why diversification is important. And as institutional investors build up, and as retail investors build up, more companies will want to come to market in Brazil. And it has a positive feedback loop because those companies will know they can get the funding that they require through the investors in their home market. So I think there is a feedback loop that we're trying to help create by bringing in new product, by maturing and educating investors, so that therefore those new companies, those exciting new companies that are coming out with innovative solutions can list in their home markets.
Perfect. That's it. That's exactly that. I can only agree with you. Yeah, definitely. And, you know, I was born in 1991. When I was born, our currency was not even real yet. We had a hyperinflation period where the president took everybody's money from their bank account to create a new currency. That's so crazy. So when I look to the generation before me, my parents, they weren't used to investing their money. Everything they had, they wanted to give to things they could see. I'm gonna buy an apartment, I'm gonna buy lands, I'm gonna buy stuff that if the presidency comes down, I can prove that that's mine. So it's not volatility. There's no volatility on the prices and stuff like that. So that's why we're still growing in this knowledge and the products to help Brazilian people to invest their money better. So it's really great that you said that about our interest rates, because we are still developing ourselves, and we have to develop the equity market, we have to develop our credit market, and we have to develop all the industry, ETFs and investments funds, that's like hedge funds for you and everything, because we are really just getting started.
Yeah, and if we do that, if we can help Brazil and play our role as Nasdaq through our index business, through our data business, through our market technology business, what will happen is as follows. We will allow companies to develop, which means there will be jobs created. So it helps jobs creation, and it leads to wealth creation in the broadest sense of the word. And so wealth shouldn't sit with the 5% or the 1% that are educated and understand the value of diversification. It should sit with the people. And so the demographics of Brazil are great. There's lots of young people. We have to help that generation understand the value of investing, the value of diversification, because that will lead to, once again, job creation and wealth creation on a broad scale.
Yeah, yes, we do. We do. And if you're watching us right now and you're enjoying this chat, I would invite you to subscribe yourself on the XP channel on YouTube. And of course, leave your like for us so we know we're doing a great job. So let's keep talking, Tal, because I want to know your opinion. If you had one investment to suggest to Brazilian people that would come from the US, what would you say? Because I want to know, you can start with lots of options. It's not a problem. So what opportunities do the US equity markets offer the typical Brazilian investor or company? And if you could only choose one of them, what would it be?
Not a hard question at all. But if I just take a step back, we, as an exchange, we generally do not make investment recommendations, investment advice. We leave that to experts like XP and other broker dealers. The way I might approach that is really ask the person who's asking that question, what are you most interested in? Are you interested in biotechnology, in technology companies, financial companies, consumer companies? Because the benefit of the US market, you can express your interest, your passion in any way you see fit, either by investing in that individual company or in the ETFs. And that's why the ETFs, for young investors that are just getting started and may not be able to do all the research they need to do on a particular company, can look to an ETF as a proxy for a particular sector. So for us, once again, we look at the Nasdaq 100. We're really proud of how that's done. It has over 100 billion in assets. It's performed well, but you have to understand the companies that are in it. And you have to be passionate about that part of the economy. For me, I get passionate about the new economy. I get passionate about the companies you mentioned before, like FANG and the Zooms of the world and some of our more recent IPOs. And so those companies excite me, but every individual investor needs to find what they're passionate about, understand why they want to invest in it, and find the product that suits them, to be honest with you. And so I don't provide investment recommendations. We see in the market, and we hope that the experience that investors have over time is a positive one. We don't want investors to come into the market and have a negative experience if they buy one or two or three companies. Of course, we love all of Nasdaq's listed companies, every single one of them. So hard for me to pick, but that's what I would think about. I would think about ETFs. I would think about simple products that allow you to express your passion, what you believe in, your conviction in the markets in the way that you see fit.
Yeah, we say that a lot too, because we also have a myth of investments here in Brazil that Brazilian people believe they are making bets when they invest in a company. They don't think they are really doing something to grow their money. They think it's a lot about lucky and not about studying it. So when you buy a stock option, you just get a portion of a company, and you have to know, why are you doing that? Why do you want to buy that company? Are you just buying it because it's famous and it's working for somebody else? Or are you buying because you really want it? Because people want the easy thing, buy that, sell that. They don't want to study what's behind it and really take the decision by themselves. So I can only agree with you. And when you talk about ETFs, there's another very good thing about them. They're very cheap. When we look at the Brazilian industry, most of all, we have high administration taxes and high performance taxes. So the hedge funds, the equity funds, the fixed income funds, they have high taxes to give their rentability. But when they get ETFs, they are really cheap comparing to that product. So of course, that it's a very great option for investors, not only to diversify their wallets, but also to have a very strong institution behind them to really give them a rentability that they would like to have. Of course, when they choose what kind of exposure that they would like to have. Do you want an ETF about technology? Do you want an ETF of MSCI China or MSCI US? What do you want to have, right? What do you want to have in your wallet? So yeah, I definitely agree with you on that too. Let's move forward. We have another question for you. How has Nasdaq adapted to all the global events recently? How has it changed the way you do your job? You already said you learned on XP's IPO. So I don't know if you work a lot digitally or if you used to travel a lot, but how is it going nowadays? Because we just rang the bell with Adina Friedman totally online. And it was great. Of course, it's not the same feeling, it's not the same situation, but okay, it's what we have to deal with.
Yeah, it's incredible what we have as a society gone through over the last 4 months. Let me share some interesting information with you. We have at Nasdaq had 98% of our employees at home between the end of March through the beginning of July. So we were able to operate our markets, the biggest markets in the world, with 98% of our people from home. And we handled all that volatility, all that volume, all the craziness that you and I saw, and we did it from home. And the reason we were able to do it from home is because we had that DNA where we were very comfortable using collaboration tools like Zoom, like Microsoft Teams, like Google's products. And so we've been able to really get ourselves comfortable with all these collaboration tools. Now, of course, there is a human element that we like to be together. We like to feel like we're a part of something bigger and part of a community. And so we've had to work hard at that at Nasdaq to ensure that we have an inclusive management team, an inclusive set of ways of operating under this new regime. And so that's required me to have town halls online. I have happy hours on Friday with my employees, virtual happy hours, not the same, but still fun. I can assure you of that. And those are the ways that we have to adapt and be creative. And I think now what we're learning and what we're seeing is some of the trends that we felt were coming about have only been accelerated, have only been amplified by this crisis, which is unfortunate, but yet shows us that we have more room for growth. So the trends around digitization, the trends around electronification, the trends around how we use technology in our everyday lives has changed. The way that we approach it has changed. The way we manage our organizations have changed. And hopefully it changes for the better. And now I hope the virus has passed and we feel comfortable. And we like to call it BC, before COVID. And then we're in DC, which is during COVID. And then we're going to get to AC, which is after COVID. And in AC, when we come back together, we will still use a lot of the technologies, and we'll use them because they're good for productivity, good for our employees, and good for our customers. And so that's been the silver lining for us, where an organization like Nasdaq, much like XP, it's part of our DNA. We know how to use technology. We're comfortable with it. So working at home has not been a challenge for us. It's just about how we manage our employees and our customers that matter most.
Definitely. And it's really amazing that you said that about the AC, because of it's I don't know, after coronavirus and before coronavirus thing, because of course it's going to be very specific what we learned after that, even in sanitary measures, even on health measures, not only technological measures, because even in medicine, now we have your doctor talking to you on the phone and he's really passing you the medication you need if anything happens to you. So we're really going digital. The whole world is going digital. And it's really different than going virtual, because we're not virtualizing the systems. We're not putting robots to talk to humans. We're putting humans to talk to humans, but on a digital way. So we're just getting scale to do that. We're just making it more profitable, more not faster to say that. And we're just creating better opportunities and optimizing our time. You know, here in Brazil, we have two major cities for business. That's Rio and São Paulo. And we used to have lots of flights, 15-minute flights from one to another. It was like a 40-minute flight. And you just had business meetings all the time. You would fly to Rio de Janeiro at least 3 times a week if you were a businessman, a business person. But now it's okay. Can we just make a call? Can we not waste that money? Can we just talk on video and we know that we're really paying attention to what we're doing? Because it's so much better. I don't have to leave my place. You don't have to leave yours, and we still can discuss everything we want, right? Of course, for the airlines, it's not so good, but they also have to reinvent themselves somehow. We don't know how yet, but let them figure it out. So Tal, we're almost getting to an end, and I have another question for you. I want to know if you could offer, it's a hypothesis, okay? if you could offer a business owner a reason to seek out activity in North America, or advice to a Brazilian investor thinking about the US capital markets as a destination to create wealth, what would you say?
Sure, and you and I have spoken a lot about the equities market and ETFs and how that could be an effective tool in an investor's toolkit. And we also talked about diversification, which is extremely important. And so when you think about the markets, it's also important not to think about just equities. So as somebody who runs our options businesses in the US, option products have become more popular in the last few years, especially with retail investors. And now it's a sophisticated product, it's a complicated product, and it requires us to educate and make sure that it's suitable. But depending on where investors' appetite is and how they think about diversity and how they think about expressing their interests, you can think about that beyond just equities. You can think about that from an options perspective. And we've seen a lot of that in the US. And so that is just, once again, if you think about the investor toolkit and all the different ways an investor can express their interest, whether you're an institutional investor or retail investor, you want to take that into consideration. Doesn't mean you should open an account tomorrow. It means that you should understand that these options, no pun intended, are available to you as an investor. So you have great companies, great products, a number of different types of ways to invest. But most importantly, you need to make sure you're educated. You understand that how these investments work. You have to have that time horizon that you talked about, that attitude of how to think about investing for the future. And remember that this is building, like you and I said, wealth over time. And you want to be that smart investor and understand what the market has to offer you. So that's one thing I encourage investors to do. Just educate yourselves on what's available to you, how to take advantage of it, and most importantly, what's suitable.
Yeah. Asking you as an investor and not as the head of North America's at Nasdaq VP and everything, what's your favorite investment? What's that thing that you invested that really made you proud of your decision, something that you really made the right choice? If you could share with us, of course. If you can't, I'll just have to live with that.
Well, I'll tell you this. My favorite investment is Nasdaq. I'm invested emotionally, physically, and financially into Nasdaq. I love the company. I mean, all kidding aside, I love being part of what we stand for. And when I think about that, I really do think about where I have most of my attention and focus. And the truth is, it's in Nasdaq. And I'm not recommending Nasdaq stock to anybody. I'm just saying this is where I sit. From where I sit, it's been unbelievable to be part of the company I'm part of. Like I said before, we love all of our listed companies, so it's really hard. But Nasdaq, for me, it's quite special. It holds a special place in my heart. And clearly, I'm a shareholder of Nasdaq. I feel really proud of that. And I'm an employee of Nasdaq, and I feel really proud of that as well.
Yeah, I just have to say that. Sorry?
I gave you an easy answer, but it's true.
Yeah, if I had to answer that, if you ever asked me the same thing, I would say XP. So I know. And it's really important that you disclaimed that you are not recommending. We are just talking about it, okay, everybody? Because it's really important that we say that, because people, when we try to educate, sometimes they just misunderstand the message we're going to send. We're not allowed to recommend, right?
Absolutely. Not a recommendation. This is just my personal preference.
Yeah. Perfect. Perfect. Tal, we have some questions from the audience, but it's a lot of questions. We have more than 1,000 people watching us right now. You made a really great statement. I'm very grateful for having you here. We just hope that someday it's not so difficult to open an account in Nasdaq, being a Brazilian without leaving Brazil. Let's hope that can actually happen really fast.
Agreed. Agreed.
Okay, so help us with the institutional side. You help us from there, we can help you from here, okay?
Absolutely, we're partners.
Yes, we are definitely. Thank you very much for your time, Tal, and thank you very much for you all that watched us. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Anna. Have a good night.
You too.